this is one of the funniest clips I've seen. The idea around what's wrong with the economy, the macro economy, investments, the power of the dollar. These are all real concerns that people have.
Yep.
But I think if much of this had to be summarized in terms of the chatter online, I'm not talking about people who have families and are struggling to pay their grocery bills. That's not what I'm talking about. I think there's people really out here that are really dealing with stuff. But the chatter online, I think, can be brilliantly summarized in this clip we're about to see.
So how do you recommend we build our savings when the average American's losing to the inflation rate? Are you recommending we go into holding foreign currency?
Okay, so inflation, bad. Average American losing money, bad. Right? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Where do we park our money? Do we go get foreign currencies?
Yeah.
Do we get crypto?
And it's difficult because the average American makes what, like $39,000 a year, like
I think
49.
I think it's a little more than that. Yeah.
It's like 49. So people are like, oh man,
gold. Put your money in gold.
Yeah. Like, how do you get from 49 to 100, a million maybe in investments? Fair question that he's trying to reach a broad masses of folk.
That's right.
Since the U.S. dollar has just been slipping as the world reserve currency.
U.S. dollar, world reserve, the macro economy. This is serious stuff.
Yeah, the yen might take over.
Yeah, might take over China.
Might be time to turn on that Chinese setting on Duolingo. Learn a few things, just in case.
Yep.
How much money did you make in? How much money did you make in 2024?
Probably 10 grand or under.
It's a hard job market.
It's a hard job market.
It is a hard job market.
Now this is the thing. This dude looks like he's of able body and sound mind.
This dude looks like he crushes in sales.
He's at an event with Patrick Bet-David. So those aren't cheap.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. Oh no, he got the scholarship.
I don't think Patrick Bet-David. I was gonna say the Blessed God Summit. I don't think they got scholarships at these things.
Okay.
So he got up, he asked this question. Now listen to what Patrick Bet-David says.
Okay.
You know what kind of a problem you have? You don't have an investment problem. You have an income problem. Don't worry about what you're going to invest in today. Until I'm 25, 30 years old, do you know what was the most important thing I invested in? Guys, from 21 years old to today, I went to 4 to 10 conferences every single year.
He has one line. He says, you don't have an investment problem. You have an income problem.
Yep.
So many people today are asking the wrong questions. They're asking about things that they really shouldn't be worrying about until 5 years into the plan.
So what happens after I max out my Roth IRA? So I'm just worried that if I start a Roth IRA, I'm going to regret it because it has a maximum of $6 grand a year. How much do you make?
I think it's $6,500 a year now.
Oh, now I'm feeling a little bit better. How much do you make? 10 grand. It's like, bruh, you're asking too in the weeds a bit.
Yeah.
You're game planning too far out.
Yeah. Now, Patrick Bet-David's advice, I also don't fully stamp.
What is he?
I went to 4 conferences a year. I did,
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm also not like, you don't need to go to conferences.
You need to work.
You need to work. You need to work. You need to put your head down.
Yeah.
You need to work. You need to learn how to work. You need to learn how to learn.
Come on.
And you need to develop yourself.
Yeah.
Especially between the ages of 20 and 25.
Yeah, I think Alex Ramosi has a story where essentially he's at this law firm in Paris trying as an intern, whatever. And he's like, man, I'm exhausted. I've been working all day, whatever. She's like, you're at work. You don't know how to work yet though. And like the higher up, she was like, you're at work, but you haven't learned how to be effective at work. Right. And like how to actually do work. So that idea of like, you gotta learn how to work is a whole nother concept that is developed in your 20s.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Play this out, and then I got a scripture in mind.
The most important investment I made at your age was a skill set on how to negotiate, skill set on how to stand up tall, skill set on how to sell better, skill set on how to prospect better, skill set on how to study body language better, skill set on conflict resolution. I'm not worried about Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin, gold, stocks, ETF, Tesla. Not worried about that. You have a massive income problem. Step number 1, fix your income problem. then think about savings.
There you
Fix
go.
your income problem and think about savings. But yeah, what do you think about that? I know that's polarizing. I mean, there's probably people here that didn't make 10K.
Yeah. No, I think there's always time to earn more skills. I don't think I don't think it's a roast on the guy that made 10K. What it is it's just revealing that I think not just this person, but it's more of a human nature thing to kind of look too far down the road because it's easier to ideate than it is to take action. And so I think that's kind of what that short clip was a tall tale sign of. Someone ideating, thinking of ideas, planning, trying to think that there's an easier way to get something done, but not seeing like the obvious thing in front of them, which is you just got to go work at McDonald's. Like you could do anything and make more than 10 grand. Like that's not like a high paying job. That's not a, you know what I'm saying? That's not and maybe he's in school and he works on campus and it subsidizes his time staying on campus or whatever. Like that's probably more likely what it is. But it's more of a reflection of people that think too far ahead, but aren't actually sitting down and doing the work.
Yeah.
I mean, what you got?
Ephesians 4:28, anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work, doing something useful with their hands, that they may have something to share with those in need.
Come on.
I think the idea of working with your hands, doing something useful to be able to share with those in need.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't think this is anchored on the idea of like this is only applicable to people who have stolen before.
Yeah, you have to be a thief to
Right.
to
Like I don't
apply
think that
this
the
first.
prescription is if you were a thief,
Yeah.
you got to work.
Yeah.
Right?
This
I
is
don't-
punishment.
Yeah, this is punishment.
Yeah.
I think this is the general theme of what we would call the Puritan work ethic. I would say this, the work ethic that helped build America.
Yeah.
Be useful. You gotta be useful.
Yeah.
The more useful you are, the more things that open up for you.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're useful and you're willing to work hard. See, and that's the thing. See, I think sometimes people want to work hard, but they don't know how to be useful. And then sometimes people who are useful don't know how to work hard.
Yeah.
You gotta be both.
Come on.
Because if you can work hard, that's a great attribute to have. But you might work hard in the wrong areas where you're not as needed. There's not as much demand for your skill set.
Yeah.
You know, but if you can work hard and there's demand for your skill set, because not a lot of people can do it, then you can be both. And I think that's where the unlock happens. Now, the issue is somebody will say, well, Ruslan, you don't understand. It's impossible statistically. There's only going to be so many jobs and there's only going to be so many ways you can make money and blah, blah. I'm not talking about statistics. I'm talking about being the outlier. I'm talking about being the exception. I'm talking about being exceptional, being excellent, being useful and working hard. And so if you are useful and you can work hard, then that's where the unlock happens. Most people usually who struggle with finances struggle with one of those two things, or there's a whole separate ailment or tragedy that happened, or they have a disability of some sorts. But even those people figure it out oftentimes.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think the whole idea that it's not the average whatever, and then the people will think, well, I can't be an outlier. But my take would be there's 300 million Americans. Is that correct?
350.
350 million. This video does not have 350 million views. That means there is a small top 0.01% of Americans that are watching a video on this topic right now. Don't underestimate the power of access to information. Because everyone has access to it, but not everyone finds it, knows how to ingest it, even clicks on the video, goes down the rabbit hole, asks the question, how do I become an outlier? They just keep it pushing. You'd be surprised how many people don't know very, very basic things about finances or something like that.
Right.
So the idea that you can't be an outlier, it's like you're already an outlier in information if you're consuming this video, right? And which means your algorithm probably has some other things that are related that are equally as interesting, that if you keep clicking on these videos, you might go down a rabbit hole where you start developing crazy good skills and insights because you're watching these videos. And so I think the idea of like, you can't be an outlier. It's like your algorithm might already be an outlier. from access to information standpoint. So it's just like there's not 350 million people applying all the same things.
Right.
It is not that widespread.
Yeah.
So if you apply the things, you're actually competing with a very small portion of people in the entire world. And I wouldn't even say you're competing with them. You're just in the marketplace with them.
2 quick comments. Big Chief said, unfortunately, the low skill, useful jobs are taken by people coming here trying to make a better life for themselves, but it disenfranchises Americans. I think if you let it disenfranchise you, then it disenfranchises you.
Yeah.
I think the low skill, useful jobs, being a plumber, is not something most people want to do.
You think that's low skill, being a plumber?
I'm just throwing something out there.
Oh, okay.
Like you think of the dirty jobs, micro.
Dirty jobs, yeah.
Right? Most people don't want to do dirty jobs, but dirty jobs often pay the best. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing something that most people don't want to do.
Yeah, what would you consider a low skill, unuseful job?
Yeah, there's not a lot of low skill, unuseful jobs. There's low skill jobs that you can turn your brain off and then do something after work. You have a stability, you can work to eat so that after work you can sow to reap.
Yeah.
2 different buckets.
There's low skill, hard jobs like working at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
That's low skill, but they don't stop.
Yeah, it's hard work.
You're like going. So people would make fun of flipping burgers, but it's like that's low skill. I wouldn't call it unuseful. I think it's hard to find a low skill unuseful. I think that's more of like you're just chilling, security. You call the cops when something scary happens, and you're just chilling.
Yep.
That's pretty low skill, pretty useless. But I would say the jobs that are being taken of like construction stuff. Are we talking trade stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say that because shout out to Brother Joseph. He just kind of solved his own issue here, right?
Yeah.
He says, I might have to be honest, because my rent is over 1.2K, bills over 300, and I'm aiming to get my GED to eventually learn a trade of some kind. So in real time, Brother Joseph is figuring this out. In real time, through this conversation, he's saying, oh, I need to go get my GED so that I can go into a trade, so that I can improve my income. I would also add to this is also work on your people skills and your social skills and who you're already adding value to and who you're already friendly with.
Yep.
Because you're more likely to get into a skill job like being a plumber, going back to a plumber, by knowing a plumber who will let you come along, learn underneath him, right? Pay you probably above minimum wage initially.
Yeah.
And then you can eventually become a plumber in someone else's company on your own. Then you could eventually start your own handyman company, or then you could eventually have plumbers underneath you, right?
Yeah.
I know several plumbers that do really well.
Yeah,
You know, the guy that did the bathroom here does really well. And his sons work with him and he crushes. He cleans up. I know another guy that him and his sons have a general contracting business, you know, and they built the studio for us, you know, and they do really well.
Mr. Munoz.
Yeah, Mr. Munoz. And so I think, you got to figure out where the beginning of that ladder is. Like, where is the beginning of the ladder? What's the first step? And so for Joseph, he's like, hey, I got to go get my GED. Cool. Like now we have a target.
Get her done.
Now we got a target. Now you got to go get that GED, you know? And I'm sure between the internet and whatever programs in your area, you could probably find
24hourged.com.
something. I'm sure there's something out there.
There's
to
something where
fast-pace
you could
through
test
GED,
out. You could
know?
test out super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a family member who was studying to get their diploma. They had their GED. They were studying to get their diploma, but they were afraid to pull their transcripts because they had a rough childhood and transferred so many times and messed up so many times.
Yeah.
And then they somehow ended up pulling their transcripts from high school only to discover that they had their diploma the entire time. So they did this whole thing of like, I'm going to start night school. I'm going to go to adult school to get my diploma because it's better than a GED. This whole thing. And we're afraid to just pull their transcripts only to discover that they already had completed all the required units and had their diploma.
And some counselor saw their rough childhood and was just passing them. Like, just
maybe. I don't know.
Clear it. You're good. But send it through.
Yeah. It's interesting, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you got to know what that next step is, you know? If you're like, "Hey, I need my GED," great. That's a great start, brother. Go knock that out. You know what I mean? Knock that out, get that GED. Some of you guys are in here talking about getting your CDL courses. That's awesome. You know, get the
backbone of America.
Get that taken care of. I mean, trunk drivers, that's huge.
Truck drivers.
What do I call them? Drunk drivers? Not drunk drivers. Don't be a drunk driver. Truck drivers.
That's huge.
Truck drivers are the backbone, you know, and they make good money.
Yeah.
I know. I had a family friend. I think he owned his own truck and was making $350 a year.
Live on the road. Have you seen those like luxury ones? Don't do it. But have you seen those luxury ones?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like little RVs in the back.
I mean, $350 a year. Think about that for a second. Let that set in for a second.
that's
$350 a year, bro.
that's great. And then you could just set up home in the cheapest state to live because
That's
you're
what
on
he
the
did.
road anyways.
So he bounced from California, bought a home in Georgia.
Come on,
You know?
son.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.